Joining us right now, speaking of pain, he's bringing it. He's got one of the best last names that anybody I've ever known. My friend, Charles Payne, host of Making Money with Charles Payne, which you can watch on Fox Business weekdays from 2 to 3 Eastern. And Charles, first off, I got to get your reaction to the CBO scoring. I mean, this kind of confirms what we all knew. I'm just very entertained seeing them try to spin this as being, that our eyes are lying to us.
Who really is looking real stupid trying to spin it are those so-called moderate Democrats who are like, yeah, but it's got enough of the social stuff that, we'll go with it, before they were like, we're going to make sure that it doesn't cost us a dime. Well, obviously it costs more than a dime. And by the way, this $360 billion is still far, far light. For instance, some of these programs, the child care program, the child tax credit, they got that covered for 6 years. This is a 10-year bill. It's not going to go away in 6 years. It'll go, they're hoping to make it a permanent deal. Mm-hmm. So you start to add up all of that. We're starting to talk trillions of dollars. It's a $5 trillion bill, and it's not nearly paid for. It will probably end up being well over, if it went like the way it is now, it would be well over $1 trillion worth of debt. But I thought what the woman was saying was so intriguing. The reporter, I'm not sure who that was. She was fantastic in the sense that this is the ultimate kiss to college-educated folks who live in blue states. I tell people this ranks right up there with that Spider-Man kiss from here to eternity and any other famous movie kiss you want to use, because imagine this: you've got a pretty good education. You're making about $280,000 a year. The government's going to give you thousands of dollars to buy an electric vehicle that you'd have bought anyway. You're going to get child tax credits. So if you have a couple of kids, the government's going to give you money for those kids, even though you don't need it, as we assume. And then there's a SALT deduction, $80,000, $80,000. $275 billion, the second most expensive thing in this whole thing. And again, if you live in New York, if you live in California, if you live in New Jersey, Washington, D.C., this is a gift to you. What you are getting is steak. What those poor folks who are being told that this is for them are getting are crumbs.
That's exactly right. Talking to our friend Charles Payne, I like that. They're getting steak and we're getting crumbs. Also in this is the real beefing up of the IRS. I was looking at some of the particulars. 86,000 new IRS agents, and they make, I think the average year salary that they have for these positions about $88,000 a year. So you're looking at halfway up to almost $8 billion a year, and that's just for additional IRS agents. And then they said that the software upgrades and the computers necessary for them to do all of this is another like $4 billion. That's for the IRS.
Yeah. It's just one of these things where, again, they talk about, when they pitch this stuff, they pitch it using Jeff Bezos' name or Elon Musk's name, but you don't need 86,000 people to go after Elon Musk. You don't need 86,000 people to go after, Bezos, right? The 86,000, that's an army. And they're going after a whole lot of people who are decidedly not rich. They're not in the 1%. And I can tell you right now, this is scary. This is one of the scariest parts about this, because they already talked about being able to go through your accounts, your bank accounts, if you have, a total of $600. Imagine that, an accumulation in 1 year of $600 worth of activity in your bank account. Of course, there was a lot of public outcry, so they changed the number to 10,000. But even 10,000. For a normal bank account, someone's running, they're paying a mortgage, they're paying bills, they're paying, college tuition for a kid, whatever it is, that's still, we're talking about ensnaring virtually the entire population will come under. This is invasive. This is scary stuff. This is Stasi, East Germany kind of stuff. It's scary.
It is. And that's what I've been saying too. And I love, talking to our friend Charles Payne, that's exactly what this is. This is terrifying, because for them to now have, they're not just going, as you said, they're not just going after the Elon Musks. They're going after everybody. But even then, that's not going to make up that additional revenue that they need in order to be able to claim that this thing's paid for. It doesn't. They could confiscate everybody's bank accounts, and it's still not going to do that. I kept hearing about any of the offset spending. I didn't see anything like that there. So I know this is going to go through the Senate. They're probably going to gut it, and we'll see what we're left with. But Man alive, this is the worst thing to be pushing before Christmas. I want to ask you too, Charles. You were the first person that I thought of. I was looking. It actually started. I was looking at a lot of the national security issues as it relates to China and China's finances, because they rely so much for their economy on their exports. I mean, they make money off of whatever they export to everyone else, and that's what they rely upon, which is it's a good thing for us and a bad thing for us because we're so dependent upon them. But at the same time, they're limited right now as to what they can do in terms of hostility. So I was looking at Evergrande. And the default of Evergrande, a lot of speculation as to what kind of impact this is going to have, not just on the world economy, but the U.S. economy specifically. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this because this is, a Chinese firm, is like the Chinese BlackRock, as I understand it. And this is, I know their economy is struggling right now, and this is a horrible sign. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, it's horrible. And this, two things. You've got this potential domino effect, right? So you go back when they created this thing, I think it was 96 or something, in that last major Great Recession, and China came out of it like fast. Well, they came out of it fast because they were building those ghost cities, right? So they were building entire cities that nobody lived in.
Yes.
Same thing with the high-speed rail that Biden always talks about. That thing loses $2 billion a year. So it will actually, I think they've got they've got really a lot of dark shadow banking there. People are trying to get their money out by hook or by crook. That's why they want to eliminate cryptocurrencies. And they've got a very, very shaky economy, very shaky beneath the surface. And to your point, this is a great gamble. First, Evergrande, if it does implode, then every day they're trying something. They just sold off, I thought, maybe their best asset, which was a film and streaming business. That's the business you want to be in right now.
Yeah.
They had to sell that. So they got $273 million for that. But I don't know how they're going to keep coming up with assets to sell off. And so we might see two things. We might see how vulnerable China's economy is. There will be a domino effect. To what degree, we're not sure. But certainly, if they are vulnerable, it's from a real estate implosion. Secondly, we want to see how many Americans have exposure there. We're talking these big banks. The other day, Jamie Dimon was in Hong Kong, and he was talking nice about China. Our American banks, a lot of these American businesses still, this Chinese tennis player, this woman, she spoke out. She said she was sexually harassed. She vanished. There's some suspicious email that showed up. No one believes it was her. But Nike hasn't said a word, right? So Disney hasn't said a word. So it's going to be interesting to see how many Americans have money in this system, in their real estate system. Listen, if you want to invest, that's fine, but I'm still really concerned about any sort of what they call contagion, right? Because I remember years ago that in Thailand, their currency is called the baht. I don't know. I'm still foggy on exactly how it happened, but they had a problem with the baht, the Thai baht. And all of a sudden, our economy started to fall apart, right? So it's like, what the hell? It's like the pee in the mattress thing, right? Golly, what the heck is going on? But, all of these are cautionary tales. Why don't we build more stuff here, critical stuff here, invest here? And this way we don't have to worry about ships parked outside the port of Los Angeles and the port of Long Beach. And we don't have to worry about the implosion of China's real estate market or even the Thai baht.
Yeah, I love your insight on that, and I remember briefly reading about that, but that's with the Thai bot, and that's such a great point. Talking to our friend Charles Payne. One last quick question for you, Charles. We so appreciate your time. Looking back domestically, we're kicking that can down the road. We got another debt ceiling vote coming up in December. We had a stopgap measure. How are markets going to respond to this?
The last time we actually shut down the economy, the market erupted to the upside. In fact, the last 6 times, the market went higher. So that part of it, when this first started happening, and I think this goes back on, I forgot the exact time, this would be the 70th, 80th time that we've gone through this whole kabuki theater.
Right.
And initially the markets used to go down. In the last few times, they've actually gone up. And essentially the market's kind of yawning at this. It is interesting, though, we find out who quote-unquote non-essential workers are. And there's a whole lot of, non-essential workers getting a lot of taxpayer money. I do think, though, the timing right before Christmas, they'll build it up, and get the public all afraid and nervous, and you may end up seeing it lifted again. I mean, listen, they've done it again, maybe 70 times. it's hard to keep track.
It is. I wish they would just get it done instead of doing these stopgap measures, because it always takes us like right before, like right now we're coming up right before Christmas. It's crazy. Our friend Charles Payne.
Called a debt ceiling, right? I mean, they put it in there for a reason. Like, it was supposed to give us discipline. We were supposed to adhere to it. That's why they put it there. I thought it was great wisdom to have a debt ceiling. Unfortunately, when you go past it 70 times, it becomes a joke.
Yeah, it does. It completely does. Making Money with Charles Payne. Charles, happy early Thanksgiving to you, my friend. Always appreciate your time.
You too.
God bless.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.